So this is a segment on my opinion about how to beat grandmasters, and let me um, just qualify this by saying that um, we're talking about playing grandmasters in simul's in this particular uh, presentation. Um, I've been beat by one grandmaster in a simul, Paul Carres. Uh, when I was young, I was like very young. In fact, somebody had to drive me to the simul. That person played Petrosian and took half the night playing Petrosian, and I had to take a train back home, and I missed my train, took a train to another place. My parents had to pick me up. But, you know, it's hard. He couldn't really interrupt his game with Petrosian, which gets to my second point, or actually my first point. It's a scout their style. The reason the person wanted to play Petrosian is because he thought he's really going to get his money's worth. When you're paying $30 or something to play a grandmaster, and this is in money from like the 1970s, you really want to get your money's worth, and he got his money's worth. He played Petrosian for hours and finally lost. Uh, I got destroyed fairly quickly. Paul Carres is like one of my very favorite players, and I loved him. And at this particular simul, Anatoly Karpov, before he was champion, was playing, and he had a wide open tactical style, and everybody was watching him go from board to board, and he looked like a little stick figure. But it was a wonderful experience. And so if you scout their style, you have an opportunity to try to beat them. And this person played a very stodgy Dutch defense against Petrosian, stonewalled him, and held out as long as possible, still lost. Um, so in later simuls, I had much better luck against grandmasters, and the one I'm going to show you today, I was at my tactical peak for. I had actually retired from chess for about a year, and I bought a series of volumes by somebody named like Lifshitz, as I recall. They were like hardbound books and full of chess problems, basically, positions for middle games, full of analysis, and what you're supposed to do is set them up on a board and use a clock. And so I did one of those, two, three of those actually every day for a period of weeks before I played this individual, because we heard that he was coming and going to play some simuls. So simuls he played, he did extremely well at. Um, anyway, I finished the first two volumes. I was at my tactical peak. And the final suggestion about this is when you're playing simuls against individuals, you want to control the tempo. What they like to do is they like to destroy their opponents as quickly as possible. And if they can get away with doing that, then the time that you have to make your moves grows less and less because they keep coming around and wanting you to move. And so what you want to do is control the tempo of the game and not get into a situation where you're actually affected by time trouble, even though they're playing a number of people all at once. You also don't want to be affected by the surroundings. In the particular room I was in, there were 30 plus players all sitting at boards around the room, about all of whom were masters, and some of them very strong masters, the local masters, and who all wanted to play this ex-world champion and have money ready to pay him. There was a waiting line, and he would only play so many people. And in the end, he had miniaturized the vast majority of them, as he had in the tournament itself that he was there for, and he was going around very quickly by the final part. At any rate, I was fortunate enough to be the only person to score a victory against him. Somebody else drew him, another person who was an expert. In those days, there were no candidate masters, there were experts. He was an expert also. This person actually got away with I believe it was a perpetual, but I didn't really get to see the game. I was busy playing. But I found out later that he had miniaturized the masters even in his simul. So that shouldn't have surprised anybody, actually. By the time the game was finished, I was the last one there, and there was this huge crowd around the board, and that was beginning to make me nervous. And when I talk about not being affected by your surrounding, it's pretty difficult. So we're going to move on to the game now.